My name is Christopher Matabuka. This is my story of how Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa transformed my life. I used to be a very funny guy who would come and crack jokes, especially when people are praying, so that people would just burst into laughter with an intention just to disturb them. I never used to be serious about church. All I was only there for is just to disturb. Until in 2007, I was involved in a car crash, a very fatal one, and I broke my leg and I could hardly breathe. I was rushed to the hospital and I was taken care of. The next day, I went for theater for operation, and I had a metal plate on my bones, for they were broken. By the time I got out of the theater and woke up to my senses, I felt a lot of pain, the pain I've never experienced in my life. And then I asked God and I said, if only you can hold this pain for me, I will glorify you forever. That is the only time I tried to be a bit serious with God. From then, I used to like audio CDs being preached by other pastors. Amongst those preachers, there's one preacher from a certain ministry I used to like, until one day the guys who used to supply me with those CDs gave me a CD of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa. From his sermons, there are some statements that really caught my attention. I remember this CD, he was saying, ndinopika nechembere dzakafa dzisina kudya serevhita. Satani murevi wenhema. Gore rino, iro rineri, rega uoneka mwana wamai. Satani wakarasa. So I really liked the statements that he would put in his sermons. Then I continued to look for more of his CDs. With time, I could feel that this man, there was something happening within my spirit and him. So I would use his statements and jokes that he would use. Most of my friends also really liked these statements, for I were using them even during social discussions. When I want to swear, I would say, ndopika nechembere dzakafa dzisina kudya serevhita. And it was also really funny to them. So one of my friends got a job in Harare. I stay in Marondera. When she got a job in Harare, she happened to attend one of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa's service at the City Sports. By the time that service finished, she called me with a lot of excitement and said, Chris, I found where that man you always takes his jokes and dish them out to us. He's conducting his service at the City Sports. You must come. Chris, the man talks just like you. As he was ministering, I was just hearing you. He just talks like you. It's just that he is tall. Then I told her that it's not him who talks like me, but it's me who talks like him. I imitate him. She told me, Chris, next week you should come. She got me a DVD entitled The Raven Must Go. For my first time, I had never seen any DVD of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa. That was my first time to see him on TV. I only listened to audio CDs that I would just get from the local guys. So the next week, I said I should just go. On a Sunday, I think around 2, I left Marondera. On my way to Harare to attend a service, 20 kilometers before I got to Harare, I had a tire puncture. And on that day, I had not carried my spare wheel. My tires, they were very good. It was just a simple car, but it had very, 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 very good tires. When I got back to fit the tire on the car, it was already close to 6 o'clock. So I made a U-turn and I went back. And you can see how much the devil was fighting me so that I don't meet the man of God. So I said next week still I'm going to come. The next week I came and then I got into the service. For the first time I saw Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa face to face. I was just one of the congregants. And there were a lot of people in that stadium. He was preaching the mind of a pioneer. So I just said, all I want here is just the word. Then next week I came. All I wanted was just the word. Once he comes, I'll be so excited. So in my mind, I would say, I'll just come for another service, then stop. Then I would come for the next service. Then I'll say, I think the next one is my last service. I won't come again. I'll listen to the DVDs and the CDs. Then I came again. But as I was coming, I began to like coming more to hear, because the way the man of God ministers, at times you actually want to hear more and more and more and more. So I said, fine, I'll keep coming. Then I became a regular person who would come and attend his services. From then, I want to tell you, my life began to make a shift. I was trying in life. I was buying and selling cars, but I wasn't realizing much. I was just struggling. But from that time, I began to improve. Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa would make declarations. I became one of the people his declarations would manifest in their lives first. He says something and he says, expect this, it would happen. For instance, there's a time he introduced the topic of altars. He said, if you do as I say, things will begin to change. Exploits will happen in your life. And I remember I began to do things the way he said it. On that very week, a miracle happened to me. That's when I began to reflect back. That miracle was a miracle of selling 7 cars at once. It only took me 2 hours to sell 7 cars at once. And remember, this place I'm selling cars, it has already been the place that I've been selling cars all these years. But I've been struggling. Not even a day would I say I would sell even 2-3 cars. That would be a taboo. But the moment I became a frequent member and I chose Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa to be the voice over my head, to be my covering, things begin to take shape. And for one time I was thinking myself and say, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa has something strong upon me. And very shortly from that time, somebody came with a $40,000 house and offered it to me for $6,000. At first, I actually thought somebody wanted to crook me. The papers were genuine, the transaction was genuine, and I could see that Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa is now influencing my life. I then went to church. From that time, I began to buy cars that I'd never dreamed that in my life I would ever buy. I'd never sell a car that is worth that much. I'd never buy a car that is worth that much. But I was able to buy it. Things were taking shape in my life. Remember where I was coming from, I used to just drive a simple car, and before I bought that house for $6,000, I never had a house. And I only buy that house when I was only 25 years of age. You know, in our society and where I come from, it's not something that is common, that somebody who is at the youthful age of 25 can buy a house, can own a Land Cruiser. And remember the prices I was buying these houses, it's ridiculous prices. So I continued to come to EFI and listen to Prophet Emmanuel's preachings, did exactly as he said. Things begin to take shape in my life. He would tell us to leave certain bad behaviors, wrong connections, wrong relationships. And I listened to what he was teaching us. And things in my life began to take shape. I was supposed to have died in 2012. But as it is said in the Bible that Israel was preserved by a prophet, and it was brought out of Egypt by a prophet, so as Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa preserved my life. One service, he just called me and told me not to go back to Marondera, for the devil had set up a plan to kill me. From there up to now, I'm still around. I could have died way back. Before I met Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, I never used to have a house. I never used to drive nice cars. I used to drive mshika shika. I wasn't married. My life was just in a mess. It had no direction. It had no way it was going. Though I was doing business, but there was no way I was going. But when I took Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa to be my spiritual father, my life began to take shape, took direction. I bought a flat, a garden flat, for a ridiculous price, a flat worth 80,000 for just 35,000. I now drive better cars. My business, I now sell also better cars. You can actually see that there is progress. I would like to thank Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa for such a covering, taking us people who are coming from nowhere with no directions. He takes us, cleans us, gives us direction, preserve us. Apart from that, socially, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa took me from a life where I never related well with my relatives. It's not an easy game to find a good wife, but Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, through his teachings, he ensured that I get married. Apart from giving me all these things, he preserved my life. I should be a dead man by now. But because of Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa and Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa, here I am live and kicking. This is my story.